I'm really excited for this conversation. We're going to be talking about state of sales on LinkedIn, best practices around this. This is really in preparation for our Unmute conference coming up here. I'll go ahead and drop some details here for all of you to get 25% off as well. So what's up, Constantine? Constantine, your whole team has to come to this, by the way. Okay. So Constantine, I'm calling you out specifically since you said hi, which he now immediately regrets. So go ahead, register here. All right. Do me a favor, everyone else, start to drop in a couple of things. Just company and your role. So help us understand who you are. Same thing for all my folks over on LinkedIn. Go ahead and drop that in. What that allows is Devin and I to tailor this a little bit. If we've got a lot of frontline people, SDRs, okay, we got account executives here. The more that we can understand. Start to drop in. There we go. All right. All right. I'm going to drop in the code details here for Unmute for LinkedIn too. So go ahead, let us know. If you're on LinkedIn, we've got Megan. She's an Upwork AE. What's up, Megan? Great to see you. So we've got more and more folks, a lot of SDRs. Love it, love it, love it. We've got a mix. Head of sales, Nate, what's going on? Paula, what's going on? All right, so state of sales, LinkedIn. All right, Devin and I go way back. Devin, when did we first meet or start working together? Like 2016?
Yeah, a long time ago.
2016. Devin used to freelance write sequences for us and for our clients, and that's how we met, right?
That is how we met. And I always love when people, they ask me, have you written cadences for my type of company or this type of company? I'm like, I've written cadences for SaaS companies, and one time I worked with you in a company that was selling hardwood flooring to like resellers. I'm writing cadences like, how can I make hardwood flooring interesting? Yeah, exactly. Dude, so I'm like, I've kind of done it all.
That sequence crushed it though, dude. That sequence we generated because what we were doing, right? We were getting people to just get a sample, right? The goal is to, like, I think to get them a sample, but that sequence crushed. So it worked, Devin. So
Good,
there you go.
Good. So I can sell hardwood floors in case this doesn't work out at Gong.
You can sell fucking hardwood floors. You can sell complex AI-driven conversations. You can really do it all, man. So we're going to be talking about state of sales on LinkedIn today. Everyone, I really want to encourage you, go in. If you're on LinkedIn, you can just drop your question in the comments. If you're on Zoom, feel free to just drop it in the Q&A here. And we're going to be kind of looking at this periodically. So yeah, I really encourage everyone. Look, with all of these, I want you to be selfish. That's my best advice. Ask questions. Okay. You're trying to get better. You're not here just to hear me speak or to hear Devin speak. You're here to get better. And what we're going to try to do here is give you all some very tactical insights into what we're seeing on LinkedIn, what's working, what's not working, and why I wanted Devin. One, Devin's one of our speakers for Unmute. So you're going to get a chance to hear from him. And is Udi joining too? I think he's joining.
I have to confirm. I don't know. I think there's a couple of folks from Gong that may or may not join, but
yeah, I know we've got a handful of folks from Gong. So Devin, why don't you start off? Why don't you just tell people a little bit about maybe your background, but specifically kind of your background and team and evolution on LinkedIn? Because I think when people ask me, Jake, what companies are doing the best job of getting their people to talk in an authentic voice?
Yeah.
I think you guys are toward the top of the list. So maybe just talk a little bit about yourself and then kind of your journey through LinkedIn and even you can get into some of the philosophy here of how you all landed on this, how the teams work together. I think all that would be super helpful.
Yeah. So background, like in terms of kind of, you mentioned Jake, but I've been in sales for 6-7 years before my current role. So sold mostly sales tech. So if anyone remembers ClearSlide, I like to call it the greatest company that never was. Started my sales career.
I remember ClearSlide, dude. ClearSlide, yeah. They got out really fast in that space and just plateaued.
The lesson I learned there was some of the best sales talent ever. Like I'm still friends with a lot of those people. A lot of them are like multi-million dollar reps right now. Like there's a lot of great salespeople. The product was ahead of its time and then didn't innovate. So it became flat. And then it became like things like ToutApp started popping up and like taking market share, which is like insane. Also shout out to ToutApp.
TK, what's up, TK? If you're out there, the original, it was ToutApp and Yesware. And then SalesLoft and Outreach came in and mopped the floor with them.
Yeah.
No offense. Lots of love to everyone. But
it's okay. It's just a history lesson. There's no real opinions in what we've said so far. And so anyway, so I started selling there, sold a couple smaller companies. And then I was over at Eventbrite right before they went public. And then I joined Gong in 2017 as the second sales rep. So there are 12 employees in the States, 40 in the world. The world was my oyster. There was no segments. There was no ACV. It was like, get out there and find some logos. So closed one of the first, $1 million ARR during my first couple of years there, and then joined the marketing team about 2 years ago. And if anyone knows Chris Orlob, he was kind of like our content guy. And I was in sales, about to move over to his team. I was going to join his team and be like a manager on his team. And around the same time, he was like, you know what, I want to get back into sales. And so the marketer became a sales guy and the sales guy became a marketer, like a Freaky Friday switch. We just like switch places. Yeah. So that's how I got to where I am now. And now I lead a team of 4 folks. I lead the content team, mostly top of funnel stuff, sales research, social media, content marketing, all that good stuff. So that's kind of the really quick background. To your other point, Jake, was like, how did I start on LinkedIn? I went to school to be an English major. I was actually going to be an English teacher. So I've always had this like affinity for taking concepts and making them relative to people, like, having fun with it. And I will say having fun with it a few times in the next few minutes, because that's all I was doing on LinkedIn. Like I would, get off of a sales call and go, wow, I've gotten my teeth kicked in. And I would just come up with a couple lines, put it on LinkedIn and like, forget about it. It's like 2 days later. Like there was no like engagement, metrics like there is today. There was no brand building. Like at the time, it was just like, I wasn't on Twitter. I was on LinkedIn sharing stuff. Yeah. So that's kind of how I got started. And then I started kind of writing like articles like, hey, I just had a really good quarter and I learned these 3 things negotiating. I'm just going to write up a quick thing and share it. And it was purely for myself and for anyone who I thought might stumble across it and find it interesting. But like, again, I cannot overstate. I was not, there's no strategic goal other than just writing for the fun of it.
Yeah. And did you think at that point, and I think a lot of you are probably out, well, I think a lot of people they want to get more involved, et cetera. Whenever you first started posting, were you worried about judgment, or did people did you get, what was that process? Because here's what I feel like happens. One, I'm going to tell you this right now. If you start posting consistently on LinkedIn, I'm just going to go ahead and let you know, people are going to talk shit about you behind your back. They're going to be like, who is Devin? Yeah, Devin used to talk shit about me whenever I was doing it. So like he knows firsthand. No, I'm kidding. But what was that like for you? And I'll share some of my learnings and takeaways on how to get over the hump, and then we'll get into some of the trends here in a sec. But what was that like for you the first, getting comfortable putting yourself out there?
So you probably been on longer than I have, Jake. So you might be able to correct me. So here's what I think. So let's say like 4 years ago when I like started writing, there wasn't the like sales text guru space that there is right now. Like there's like known thought leader. Like Jake, you are a known thought leader in the LinkedIn sales space. I don't know that there was this like Mount Olympus, whatever it is. Like, there's like the Scott Leases, the Amy Volt, like people know these people.
No, that didn't exist.
That didn't exist. So you just like, there was no hierarchy, if you will. Right. So, and I'm just speaking to our specific like bubble of sales tech and sales on LinkedIn. So when I was writing, there was no like, who's the thought leader? Who should I be like? Who should I not be like? It was like a very much a free for all. People were mostly using LinkedIn to like share that they were hiring, that there was some event coming up. And that was like pretty much it. Like it was kind of like a corporate marketing channel.
Sharing a blog post, right? Sharing like some blogs and white papers that your company shared.
Very boring.
Yeah.
And so I started writing was more like I had no real intention and I didn't really care because there wasn't like this, like you said, now people will talk shit about you. It was like, no one's really writing normal people stuff. Like that's how my brain works, like normal people things. And so that's what I was doing now. And I like raised my hand, like, yes, people talk shit about me, not even just behind my back, on my comments. People will be like, you're an idiot. This is terrible. How could you? And so it's like, if you're going to say anything on the internet, just know people will say things that they would never say to your face. Like they will just call you different things. Now, that's not to scare you away. You know, firsthand, Jake, like I've seen your comments. Yeah. People just, you'll be like, you know, I don't know. Salespeople have the hardest job in the organization. And then there's 40 people that agree with you and 40 people that think you're an idiot. And then those people start arguing.
So like SDRs, Devin, SDRs have it. You don't know how hard the job is.
Exactly. I do, which is fine. But, you know, they go to my LinkedIn profile and because the title BDR was never there, they assume I've never done that role before. But so anyway, so it's kind of like, you know, I didn't really care. Now I would say I'm just more mindful that like, hey, when I say something that's opinionated or real, quote, you know, real air quotes, like there's going to be people who love it. And that's who I do it for. Like I do it for the few people who hopefully read this and are like, that changed my day. Maybe it's motivational, inspirational. Maybe it's like, oh, like Devin, last week you told me to use this email CTA, or you told me stop saying this thing and I got 3 more meetings. Thank you for that.
Love it.
I focus on that and not the 2 people that respond and go, this is stupid. I would never do that. I'm like, cool, keep scrolling. You didn't even have to comment. Just keep scrolling. It's totally fine with me.
Hey, that's fine. So tell me about this. So let's talk about Gong, right? And so one of the tracks coming up for Unmute. So again, for those of you who do not know what Unmute is, it is our conference coming up next week. Devin and a few folks, I'll drop the links in here again for everybody, is going to be leading a session and really just having a conversation similar to what we're doing today. What is the culture like at Gong to empower your people? I think if you look at Gong, you know, there's been these like LinkedIn celebrities like that have been created, like Sarah Brazier is probably the first example of like SDR celebrity from Gong. Or maybe you and Gabby, and there's a few others now, right? But what's the culture like at Gong to where people feel confident or comfortable putting themselves out there more, and maybe just, you know, training programs? I'd love to like maybe just like taking a peek inside.
Sure.
You know, what is that like, you know, internally as a sales rep, and how marketing or others are talking about LinkedIn?
So I'd say, so you used one of the words and I break it down to 2 things. It comes down to empowerment and enablement. Now, hiring is like the obvious. Everyone, like every great initiative is like, you know, blanketed with hire great people. So I'm going to assume you're hiring the best people available. Let's just check that box. So empowerment is showing people that it's okay to do it and that others are doing it too, right? You're empowered to go share your voice. Enablement is making it very easy to do.
Okay. All right. So this, how do you, let's break down each one of these. So trend for 2021, right? I did a quick little post this morning just to kind of get the ball rolling here and get some ideas or thoughts working. So the 2 of the things I put on here, the first is marketing teams realizing they need to stop feeding sellers blogs and white papers and figure out how to feed them short form industry insights. That was one. Again, I was trying to think if there's any other that are like fit with that. No, those are like the big ones. Oh, the last executive and sales leaders need to start leading from the front. One executive can easily generate more views and buzz than any company page. So how do you all do that first part well? How do you all do that part around empowering and making people feel like it's okay? And then I guess that does dovetail into, you know, how you support them. So just maybe talk a little bit about that.
It definitely is in that order. And I think too, is like, you know, our CEO is on LinkedIn. Our CEO is very personable and like authentic. Like, I don't know if you follow Meet Bendoff, like nothing he talks about is like, look how great my company is. And like, even when we, you know, raised a ton of money, he's like very humble about it. And he's like, we're really excited for the opportunity. So that draws the right kind of tone, you know what I mean? Because, you know, 400 employees are looking at the captain like, hey, what's he talking about? How is he portraying himself? And it's very important that tone is like, you know, is set. Amit was also a CMO.
Yeah, just real quick. So your CEO is putting himself out there, and what impact? Actually, let me phrase this a different way. Do you think people would do it as much if he wasn't? And maybe I think you're getting ready to talk about Udi too, and I want you to talk. Would people feel as comfortable if the CEO wasn't?
I would 100% believe that people are more comfortable because the CEO is doing it. It's the leader of the entire company.
Okay.
And I was talking to this other, I believe they're publicly traded, like over thousands of employees, and their CEO does not want anyone to build a personal brand.
Yep.
Because he's afraid, you already know it's coming, that people will poach them. They're great people and they're going to get poached, which is totally incorrect, because if you treat people well and they enjoy their job, they will stay, just like myself. And so think of it this way. The other thing is, like, you see Amit posting. So the CEO at Gong is posting on LinkedIn. The CMO of Gong is posting. I'm posting. Sarah is posting. There's a lot of different people in different parts of the organization who are posting on LinkedIn. And I would say all those people are talking about, like, I hate personal brand. I'm not a big fan of that phrasing, but like, they're talking about their opinions, their thoughts, their stories, and they slide in some Gong stuff, but always with their own approach. It's not like this copy and pasted 2 sentences and then a blog post like every day. Right.
Exactly.
And so people that are, thinking of Gong, of applying there, or not even thinking about Gong, but they see these things, and then like 6 months, 12 months later, they're thinking of, maybe I want to apply somewhere. Gong comes to mind because people say so often in interview process, like, Gong seems like a great place to work. It seems like you all have a lot of fun there. And it stems from the leadership team, because if Udi and Amit, our CMO and CEO, aren't posting or even specifically like, we don't want you to post, you're not going to see the trickle down effect of folks like, in middle management and the IC level also feeling empowered.
Right. And do you have, okay, so it starts at the top, right? I think that makes a lot of sense. How does it work from a content standpoint? So I think a lot of questions people have. What do I write about? You talked about sharing your experiences and stories. That's kind of me, man. I have like, if you look at my post, there is a very high likelihood something happened in the last like few days that then was like, this is why this is top of mind. I'm not one of those people who schedules all my posts on Sundays and every morning they go out at 7:30 a.m. I try to be consistent. Today I hit 7:30, but I literally wrote that post this morning right after I got out of the shower. Like,
those are the best posts, by the way. The ones that happen on the fly and post walk and post shower are the 2 best ones.
Right. You have like some epiphany. So how does the team, so one of the tracks for Unmute is called Empower. And the whole goal of this is it's actually built for leaders. And but you don't have to be, because the other track on day 2 is Influence, which is for kind of individuals to understand what that word really means, and not in like a douchey, Instagram influencer. Not that Instagram influencers are douchey. It's more like that. I think the reason that a lot of people don't want to invest the time is they don't want to be perceived as douchey. There we go. That was a much more well, that really wasn't politically correct either, but you get the point. So Gong, how do they, with Empower, our goal is to teach executives how to do it. How do you actually do that? So how do they help you all with, do they help you all with content? Do they help you all how do they, encourage you all, or do they not? Or do they say kind of to each his own, but how do they get so many of you to be active? They obviously create the space as part of it, but is there any support and Slack channels or anything that you all are using?
So yes and no. So I would say for the senior leaders, and it's pretty much Amit and Udi, but there are others. They lead by example. They just do it. And the other thing is they support when other people do it, right? So they'll maybe give them a shout out in like a general Slack, or they just comment. Like, just commenting on their posts has a huge influence. Like, imagine being 4 months in as an SDR to Gong, and you write something and the CMO or the CEO comments on it and it's positive. Like, that's going to give them more, motivation to keep doing it than almost anything else.
Right.
So that's what they do. As the head of content strategy, and I have Nahal on my team and Vince on my team who help with social media, we have different tactics in place to drive awareness of what we do and why, and then also to enable people. So here's what I mean. Udi started this. The very first onboarding track, there's a marketing session where Udi goes through, our marketing POV and all these things that we do, and our tagline. Tagline is obviously very tactical, but you know what I mean, like our revenue intelligence space and why we're doing it. There's a chunk where he also says, about Gong Labs, which is our, monthly, bi-monthly sales research post that I author. And he says, hey, Devin writes these posts. I put it in Slack. Hey, everyone, new post is live. And I ask if you want to like, comment, and share. There is no CEO or CMO like scanning LinkedIn, making sure everyone like engaged with this post or whatever. It's completely optional. Yeah. But he shares why I'm asking them to, so they understand like, oh, I can be a part of this like marketing and gong initiative once a month. And the side note, they love the content. So like having sales buy-in is its own thing. But so he kind of like plants a seed. Here's what, you know, the lay of the land is and why. Nahal on my team has a LinkedIn best practices workshop for all new hires, completely optional, because most people that join your company, even if you've been, you know, in your role for 20 years and not even just in sales, you've just been in, you know, in the game.
Yeah.
A lot of people haven't really used LinkedIn to even half of its potential. They're not really posting, they're scanning the feed, right? But they're not like really using it. Most people just want to know how to use LinkedIn, what things to avoid so I don't get like HR to call me or like my boss to say, hey, you have to take that down.
What and then just question real quick without giving away, what are some of the things that you suggest to avoid, right? What are some of the things that, at least that you all feel the need to call out?
It's actually two things. One is we preface politics. You are asking for a whirlwind if you want to talk about politics on LinkedIn. Now, at the end of the day, there is no like, you're not going to find some like leaked document of Gone that's like bolded red, do not post this on LinkedIn. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But I just tell people like probably not the best idea. The other thing is if you're about to write something and you think it's too personal, or if you're like, you know, you have that, you know, that feeling in your stomach, like, I don't know, this feels a little uncomfortable. Just don't post it. Just don't post it, because you might not be comfortable with it, or it might be a little out there. Yeah. And we always offer, you can ping me, you can ping Nahal and get our opinion, and we'll like, and this very rarely happens, by the way, but I think just telling people this kind of guideline, like if it feels wonky, hit the brakes and cool off, and like we'll give you the input that you need to feel confident, because that's what I want. I want people to have fun with this. I want them to be confident. I want them to enjoy the process of creating and posting content, not worried about, you know, is my manager going to see this, or is my HR manager going to call me? By the way, I wrote a post very publicly about cursing in sales, and HR didn't call me. So I think we're like, you know, the bar's pretty low.
Yeah, I remember that. Takes. Yeah, that was like the most controversial ones I remember recently. So, okay. So it sounds like a lot of this, you know, it's like a lot of good leadership, which is, you know, that there's some loose guidelines, but a lot of this is leading from the front. Yeah. That it's just that by creating the space and by the executive level team doing that, you then get more people who feel it's comfortable. You talk about it openly, it sounds like, in onboarding and throughout. It's interesting though. So for me, my advice is kind of the exact opposite around if I know in my gut, and this is just from doing this so long, right? I know in my gut, if I have that feeling, the post is going to do well. Like if I'm a little nervous to hit post, but I do understand what you're saying. It's a little different. I'm the CEO of a consultant.
Exactly.
So
yeah. No one can really call you into the HR office, I don't think.
No, that's a whole other question. So a couple of questions are kind of streaming in here, and then I think we want to move on to kind of another trend. So trend number one, right, that I think, Devin, you really illustrated and talked through is the concept that we need to lead from the top, and that it makes, if you really want to build a culture where this is important, it's not, I don't think your executives have to be, you know, posting videos of them playing the piano or something, right? Like every day or weekly, but they do need to get active, you know, to some extent, that different levels of people that are not just the front lines get active to help to set some of the tone, you know, for the organization. And then the next way is, again, when you think about 2021, how are you talking about using LinkedIn from when somebody starts, you know, from their the onboarding experience? And it's that, you know, you'll have a training for it. It's talked about in the onboarding, you know, and you guys have this kind of open door policy, come ask us some questions, etc. So, you know, I think those are some things that if you think about in 2021, if you really want, if all your sellers are using LinkedIn and you really want to be the best you can be from a company standpoint, you have to figure out a way to get your execs involved.
Yeah.
And without it, it's going to be very, very difficult. So a couple of quick ones here. This is a good one. Do you prefer to write as yourself or on behalf of your company? And actually, I'm going to ask you to answer that in another question. Jay Strickland posted one. He said, do you get better interactions with posts or articles? So maybe just talk about how you think about that company voice versus Devin voice and individual, and how you kind of play through that.
I have a unique, well, not unique, completely unique, but a relatively, rare scenario where like I'm leading content and brand and also have my own like voice, like, I'm Devin Reed, but I'm also like leading marketing. So that is one thing. But for me personally, like I am Devin Reed, and one day, not for a long time, I'm going to leave Gong.
Right.
I'm going to leave. And all the thoughts, opinions, followers, people that like me, hate me, are going to come with me. And so that's mine. And I focus on that. Now, I also am just mindful that one, I do like Gong pays my bills. They cut me a check. And I'm also like a relatively, public facing person at Gong. So I'm mindful of like the things that I say. So I think it's just like, my thing is like, be professional, which is just come correct, right? Don't give anyone a reason to email your CEO and go, what the hell is this guy doing? What the hell is this guy saying? Now, again, that could happen because some people just don't like the way I talk, but you know what I mean? For the most part, I'm not saying anything brash. So, and that's what I tell people is like, look, just like, imagine like if you're in public and you're wearing like your Gong swag, you got your Gong jacket on, like come correct. Like people are going to see you. And if you're acting like an idiot, you have the Gong logo on, people are going to make that connection. So just kind of keep that in mind on LinkedIn. But ultimately, like you're not writing on behalf of your company, you're writing for yourself. Yeah.
Okay. But now with that, so do you, well, I guess you enjoy both, it sounds like. And then what about posts versus articles, right? I think that's just something people probably need to just hear.
Sure.
What do you see get the most engagement?
Posts. Posts. Yeah. It is heartbreaking to put as much effort. No, like the Gong Labs one is like a research post. It's a whole thing. I will write that post. It's 1,000 words. It's edited. It's got graphics. It's got research. I'm lucky. Like a great one will get like 800 reactions, 25,000 views. Yeah. Like that's a great day for me. I will take 2 lines that I got out of the shower. 2 lines. Like leadership is not a title; it's a mindset. You put that on LinkedIn, thousands of comments or like hundreds of comments, thousands of reactions, and like 100,000 views. Now, obviously, one is very short to consume, one is considerably longer, but I've tested it with longer, all 1,300 characters or whatever LinkedIn gives you, and posts drastically outperform articles. Yeah. However, there's a time and a place depending on what you're trying to accomplish where an article is the right move. But I would say like on a weekly, daily basis, just post.
Yeah. And what I think Gong does a great job of, Gong is one of the only companies I see consistently not posting articles and links 24/7. Yeah. And I feel like it's some of this. And again, when I think about trends 2021, marketing has to realize the choice is binary for your marketing department. You can choose to be able to track the very few amount of clicks that are going to come from this. So probably 0, right? Or you can reach 30x more people from a brand standpoint.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to make this choice as a company. And Devin, I realized what you did back it was May of 2018, where we were putting out weekly blog posts, ebooks every 60 days or so, and we would put them out and crickets, compared to other things. And that's whenever I had the epiphany, Devin, where I'm like, what a waste of time. And we literally went a year. And if you follow me, so a lot of you probably heard this before. For 1 year, just imagine we were doing a blog post every single week, at least one, to doing 0 for a year. We did 0 blog posts and 0 ebooks for a year, and our organic inbound skyrocketed. Yeah. And I think what you all are doing, and Devin, I'm going to say it so you don't have to. B2B brand matters. And 2021, I think, can also be this concept for us in B2B that there is a dollar amount associated with a brand. You need to look no further than Gong's valuation. If you all go back and look at Gong's last round and what their valuation was, I 1,000% guarantee you that their brand was part of that valuation. That this wasn't just another company in this space. Yeah, their tech's great too, but because brand is defensible. Yeah. Tech can get to feature parity. Mm-hmm. But if people want to do business with you, they choose you because of X, Y, Z. That is where brand really matters. I have got to imagine that as people like Sarah and as they built their own brands, and keep in mind though, the reason they talk about sales is they sell a technology that sells to sales. So that's a win,
Yeah.
that it helped them to get meetings. Like without fail, they posted about it, and so for everybody listening, I want you to think about that brand matters in B2B too. And there's a reason that when you look at Gong's LinkedIn page, sometimes they post with no links.
Mostly we don't, by the way. Our strategy is specifically, I think it's like no more than 20% of a weekly out, like of all of our content, only 20%. Like I look at it every Friday, and if there's more than 3 posts that have links, we have like, what's going on? Like, why are we doing this? You know what I mean? There has to be a very specific reason.
Less than 20% of your posts have it.
Yeah.
Less than 20% have a link. Is that right?
Yeah.
Fuck yes, dude. Sorry, I'm just excited. That makes me excited because and the question I'll say is, like, for everybody listening right now, we've got like 150 people or so between LinkedIn and Zoom. Do you think Gong is stupid? No, they're not stupid, right? Does it sound like Devin has looked at data? Yeah, he's looked at the data. He's telling me what the data is. So when you think about the trends for 2020 marketing teams, you can have a little bit of a personality in B2B. You can have an opinion. And what you can always do is put the link in the comments. Or to say, check out our previous post. You can pull out those little insights. I mean, I would guess that puts Gong. This is a Jake Dunlap fast fact. Okay, which means this is purely an educated.
I like how you rebranded a hot take to a fast fact, though. I do like that marketing.
Fast fact. But I'm prefacing here. I'm not saying it's
yeah.
Because people will quote me sometimes when I say, like, my best guess is this, and they'll be like, Jake Dunlap said 66%. I'm like, no, I'll tell you when it's real data, and I'll tell you when it's a
right.
I would guess 0.05% of companies have your ratio. That is what I don't know very many at all. And again, I think it's just because they're so people are so nervous about doing it.
Well, they view LinkedIn from the corporate page they view it incorrectly in terms of how to use it. And here's what I mean. So they say, what do I like? Why would I post on LinkedIn? Well, we want downloads, right? We want leads. Let's say leads. So what should we do? We should post all of our marketing content, all of our gated marketing content. Let's put it on LinkedIn. And like you said, you get a couple likes, maybe a couple clicks, like on a good day.
Yeah.
We looked at the data for our company or for our LinkedIn page. Here's what you really are trying to do. You're trying to get people to come visit your page. It's like, I always say, like, we're trying to get people to come to our house. We're trying to get people to come to our party. And to get them to see us is we need to put out content that the people that are following us love, because they'll like it, they'll comment, and then you know how LinkedIn works. It puts it in other people's secondaries and third connection. And so the first time this happened, Jonathan on my team wrote a post. It was 6 words, and it was the first time our corporate page got over 1,000 reactions. It was 6 words. It was what is it? It's the first headline: just checking in. Next line: never say it. Next line: ever. That was it. Now we're talking to salespeople, which everyone in sales knows it's not really anything you should say. And anyone who's been sold to knows it's super annoying. 1,200 reactions, 100,000 plus views. And guess what? Our follower rate spiked for like 2 or 3 days because this post was on fire. And everyone's like, wow, this is like funny. You see people in the comments like, here's what I say instead. People laughing, making jokes, and highly opinionated. There was no data. It's just a fast fact. Everyone knows this sucks. Yeah. And so we learned, now we already kind of knew this, but it proved our traffic on our LinkedIn page it spiked and it kept higher than our previous benchmark. So what it showed us was, like, people are going to come see our content, and then they see other content, right? What do? They scroll, they see other things, other videos, other content, other gated things, and our leads went up. So instead of leading with leads, lead with content people like and love. They come follow you, they look at other things, and they go, wow, this post is hilarious. This next video is good. Wow, they have gated content too. Let me download and see what that's all about. It has to go in that order. It cannot be in the reverse order.
And what were you able to track that other than looking at like LinkedIn referral traffic from that day? Was like those days were higher and then total leads was higher, roughly?
So we use Sprout and we look at everything from post impressions, because it starts with post impressions, get you LinkedIn page visitors,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
LinkedIn page visitors get you to followers. And in that order, then you usually see more downloads.
Yeah.
Right? For the most part, there's obviously some things you can do, but like that's ultimately what happens. And so we learned, hey, we have to have certain types of posts that get us a bunch of traffic. And then right after those posts is when you put medium or like longer content or gated content, because then you see like a funnel I'm creating here, right? And that's all I'm trying to do. The problem is, like I said before, most people start with gated, like, hey, if I put this great gated content, people will stop what they're doing and sign up for a 40-page ebook, which like you learned, like just does not happen.
Wait, people aren't reading 40-page ebooks?
It's wild.
No.
I have one downloaded on my browser right now. I want to read it. I've gotten not past the title page. It's been 2 weeks, and I have every intention of reading it eventually.
Dude, that's you and every other person who's listening to this right now. So marketing, just please think logically about what we're saying here. Do you like it will work? You have to just have faith in this idea called brand. That if you can get 100x more people, which is what you did in this, they got 100 plus x more people to see this content, probably 1,000, probably, like the increment there is so massive. Okay. That, and then go look at the shitty clicks you're getting now. 2, 3, you're getting, and all the comments are, guess what? It's from your mom and family and your employees.
Yeah.
Right. Like, there you go. Jen Ferguson said she's got 3 ebooks that are waiting to be read as well too. So that's, I think we've really got this. That we're nailing some of the trends here, which I'm loving. So a couple more kind of questions here. Steve Romero dropped this one in on Zoom, which I think is a really great one. So we talk a lot about posting, getting people to post, blah blah blah. He says the challenge isn't getting people to focus; it's getting people to engage. We can post for days. We want to improve response rates. So I think question 1 would probably be like, well, what do you mean by response rates, right? I think he's meaning likes and comments and things like that.
Sure.
So if we think about trend 1, we're talking about is this idea of top down, setting a tone. We're putting out content that's interesting versus always ask for a click, ask for a sign up, etc. Now let's say to this idea of engagement. So what would you tell people here to get people, if they really do care about engagement, and let's just say targeted engagement too. If we say, let's take it to the next level, Devin, like how would you think about that? Like if someone said, hey, I want to get more targeted engagement from my buyer group, what are some tips or suggestions? And I'll drop a few as well too.
Sure. So we sell to sales leaders, sales professionals. So sales leaders buy, sales professionals use Gong. We do not write content for essentially any other persona. So that's the first thing. So when you think about it, and this is what I coach my team on now, lucky me, I'm a marketer who used to be our ICP. So, well, not a leader, but you know what I mean? I've been in the sales realm. So what we look at is, content that solves problems or is entertaining. So edutainment is what we call it. Educational and entertaining.
Solves problems or is entertaining. Now, is there any caveat with that entertainment? Like anything that is right? Like, because look, I know for a fact I could go put a meme video up, or a looped video of like something and go get probably 100,000 interaction. Maybe. Yeah. So when you say entertainment, so solves a problem or entertainment, how do you?
So the meme game is a slippery slope because, and I tell my team too, we post them, but I always say no more than 3 a week because we're not a meme factory.
Yeah.
But people like them. They are funny. And I try to encourage my team to make our own, and usually making fun of ourselves. People love that. So there's this like picture of Chrissy Teigen, and she's making this like grimace face. And actually a client made this, and we asked them if we could repost it. And it was like the face you make when you hear yourself on a gong call. Right. Because no one likes to hear their own voice. So that's something super relatable because no one likes to hear their own voice. And here's this B2B company, like you said, relatively big company, and they're making fun of themselves. Like who does that in marketing B2B?
So the one thing I will say, but that fits. You're hearing your own voice. There's still the text, it sounds like, has some context. So
for sure.
Solve problem, entertainment, quasi-related, is kind of the hook there.
Right.
And And then
the other thing for entertainment though is like that post I said, the 6 words. There's no value in that. Like, I mean, maybe some people read it and were like, oh, I guess I shouldn't say just checking in, but it was kind of something we all said. It was just highly opinionated and like relevant. So that's the other thing. Like relevance is actually the most important thing here.
Yeah.
Is like, what are the things? It's like, if you think about it, who are you selling to? What are their problems? What are their challenges? And what are their emotions associated with those things?
Yeah.
That's how we look at it.
I like that. And then, so, and it's all problems here too. I think something else, so let's talk trend for 2021 here. And what I want everyone to hear it from you. I could be setting myself up for wrong, but I don't think I am. When you solve a problem, do you mention in your post where you're doing this, are you mentioning the word gong?
I think we have one post a week that mentions gong.
Okay.
Now, if we have like we opened a new office or a press release, yes, we mentioned gong. Like we're not like removing, we're not blacklisting ourselves. But there's one post that we do, one or two maybe for like, the gong product, and I'll even get into that if you want, of how we frame that. But the problem is like email CTAs. That was some data we shared, right? Like the best email CTA to use. The problem,
I love that one. I stole that immediately. Stole it immediately.
The problem the fact that you just responded that way tells me that that's a problem you have. You didn't know what is the best email CTA, or maybe you had some opinions, some thoughts, but you didn't know the best one.
Correct.
So we set out for all of our content is what is something that they don't know or could use help with. And there's emails are being written every single day on every single sales team. So it's like, here's something that no one knows. So we published this long form post. That's our most popular post, by the way, last year by far. And we recycle it every quarter, every couple months. And we just take a piece of it. I think there's one coming out actually this week, which is like, headline is like, can I have 30 minutes of your time? Don't ever, instead of asking for time, ask for this. Here's why. So in a post, this long on your LinkedIn feed, you just went from what not to do, what to do, why, and how in 9 lines. Hasn't been posted yet. I'm sure it's going to do great because it answers a question that people have. You don't need to have the 10th line be, by the way, Gong can help you have better sales conversations. If you want a demo, go to gong.io/demo.
Yes.
Because guess what? People already know if you're talking about the problem, you have the solution. No one's out here talking about fine linen shirts that doesn't sell fine linen shirts. Like whatever your thing is, like whatever you talk about, people assume you have the problem, you have the solution. Elon Musk talks about space and electric energy because that's what he does. It's obvious. He doesn't have to shove Tesla down your throat, even though he kind of doesn't. That's not the best example, but you know what I mean.
Well, look, and that's perfect. Aaron Brown just asked in Zoom about, solo founder here. And, they're just asking about, should we focus on my brand or the company? And I said, your brand, you are the company.
Right now, you are the company.
Yeah. People want to hear versus you as an expert. And that's what I did for a long time. I've been put Skaled doing amazing things because I felt like if I talked as Jake Dunlap, then I would be being a braggart, or like being an ego person. And so I really avoided, not pushing all the expertise to Skaled. And then I realized nobody's trying to hear that, right?
Well, Skaled doesn't have a face. The logo is not a face.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like people like the Gong brand, but like you said, it's Sarah, it's Devin, it's all these people behind it. And the same thing with I didn't even say Tesla. I led with Elon Musk a second ago because I know Elon, right? And he's like this founder. So I would say is like one, also for anyone listening, you're going to get a lot more engagement on your personal posts than you will from a company page. Like that's just the way LinkedIn's set up. And the goal is to get your content, your personal content out there, Jake, because I guarantee you when you have a post tell me if I'm wrong here, I'll set myself up for failure. When you have a good week or a good day on LinkedIn, right? Lots of engagement. Tell me that the Skaled visitor pages don't go up. Go up.
Yes.
That your web traffic doesn't go up.
Massive difference. That not only that, like views and interactions on our LinkedIn, other posts go up. The same way that you said about when you drop a little bit more of a call to action post after something that's done well, and you'll see a blip in that too.
Yeah, for sure.
As opposed to going up and up and up. So, all right. So we've got about 10 more minutes left here. A couple more questions rolling in. Jay Strickland had another one. Good for you, Jay. What do you think an aligned, high-performing sales and marketing team looks like in 2020 around this? So if you said, hey, and I think you've already talked a little bit about it, but are there any other additional tips that you'd give around getting better aligned, or, or maybe even because, as a CMO versus, not versus sales, but CMOs over here, sales here, any ways you all feel like you try to break that barrier down?
It sounds like a little fluffy, but we can get as tactical. Feel free to bring me down to the tactical level, Jake. Is like, our marketing team is like, we get paid on revenue. I do not get paid if posts go viral. I do not get bonuses if Jake likes my posts and reposts it. I get my paycheck on sales accepted opportunities. Guess what? And revenue, right? There's different layers. Like, our CMO is on revenue. Our sales leaders are on revenue. We are a go-to-market team. When you have teams like, hey, today, quarter ends in 2 days. If marketing hit their MQL goals or their engagement metrics and they're at 108% and the sales team is floundering at 60%, and you got half the office like, yeah, we did it. And the other half is like, great, we're not going to get funding because no one's buying our product.
Right.
That's how you get the opposite of alignment. That's how you get silos. And so we work we have weekly meetings. So our demand gen team marketing is like tied to our sales dev team. Yeah. We are very closely aligned. We have the same metrics. We have leadership meetings every Monday. We have campaigns aligned. Like, my job isn't just to create great content, it's to create great content and make sure on the demand gen side of it that our sales dev team know how to use it and it's actually driving results. Because if 10,000 people download my content and none of them become meetings, or a fraction of a percent become meetings, maybe that's good from a brand perspective, but I can't do that quarter over quarter and expect Gong to continue to drive revenue. Now, obviously, I'm not the only one driving pipeline for the company, but we have demand gen's a pretty big part of that, and it should be at every company.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you're not, so when you want to know how to get alignment, I've said this 8 billion times, it starts with incentives. And if you create silos and you create siloed incentives, not that people can't have KPIs and should have a big part of their bonus tied to things that they can directly control. But if everyone's not aligned to the macro mission of what we're trying to do, you will create these silos. And what's happened is it's really been only the last 10 to 15 years where we had all these specialized roles, right? Mid 2000s, early 2000s, not very many people were doing this stuff. And it's an unintended consequence of role specialization has been specialized comp for their part of the silo that doesn't lead in. And it sounds like you all have done a good job of breaking that down. So we've got a couple more questions in here. How do you think about posting frequency, times, etc.? I think Dave Schlock has a question about this. Maybe it's Schlock Dave. I'm pretty sure it's Dave Schlock, but posting times, good frequency.
The rule of thumb is, if it's great content, it doesn't really matter. That's the honest truth is that. I would say it's also smarter to do it in the morning because you'll have more runway for your post to be seen by people on LinkedIn. Like, you can look up, people are on LinkedIn at 8 a.m., 12 p.m. and 4 p.m. local time, wherever they are, because that's drinking coffee, getting ready, lunch breaks, and wrapping up the day, procrastinating, doing that last thing on my to-do list. Yeah. So that's when people are on LinkedIn. So make sure your content is available. Like, if you post something amazing at 5 p.m., it'll still get some love, but not as much as if you did it at 8 a.m. I personally post around between 9 and 10 a.m. Pacific time. That seems to do well. And then there's one more part of that question I think I dropped. When to post? Frequency. I try to post 3 times a week, Monday through Friday. I'm not really on LinkedIn on the weekends. That's just my choice.
Yeah. For me, I think we've seen similar. The issue that we're seeing now, though, is that 7:30 or Central, 8:30 Eastern slot / morning is also the highest content production time, because everybody, just like anything, once everybody figures it out, it ruins it for everyone. So Devin hit it on the head. My best performing post from last year, right, that ended up getting 2 million views was Tuesday at 1 p.m., right, or 2 p.m. Yeah. And good content will get recognized. And so we've been switching it up. So we're still doing an early morning post. And that's what the data shows too. It was that time frame was the sweet spot. We haven't done a good solid analysis in the last, we're probably overdue. It's probably been since August of last year. And then I post 1 to 2 times a day. Why? Why not? I like it. It's fine. You know,
I think that's a big part is you like to do it.
Once a day. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just really like it. Okay, couple questions here. Sanjay asked if we take a look at his page. I just took a look. You're doing what Devin talked about. Every single one of your posts have a link in them. So stop asking for people to visit your page and start just giving more value, Sanjay. That is my.
If you give people value, they will come without having to be asked.
Figure it out. They will. Your company is called Nacho Nacho. Okay, that's pretty memorable. No one's going to forget Nacho Nacho. So you don't need to keep sharing links after links after links. All right. I think this has been great. Okay. One, Devin, thanks, man. One, it's always good.
Of course. Love hanging out.
I'll drop this here too. Everyone, make sure you sign up for Unmute Now. So imagine you're going to get a chance to hear, not just go deeper on what we've already talked about. Did I spell here wrong? Yeah, I did. That's great. Here as in H-E-A-R, not H-E-R-E. I'm sure someone's going to very nicely. People like to send me DMs about that stuff too. Jake, just so you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, no shit. Thanks.
Yeah. You got to love typos for that. Of the 400 words of value I gave you, you caught the synonym for here. Thank you.
People love to be that person, though. Yeah, they love to do it. So sign up. You have no excuse. Imagine 2 full days of what we're doing right now and how tactical this shit is going to be for you and how much you're going to learn. So I'm going to switch this anonymous attendee's question. The KPIs, I think to answer your question, the KPIs that you wanted to align are a certain level of intent, a qualified intent, and revenue. That is it. If you want to align demand gen and sales dev, it has to be on revenue or some type of intent, like a deeper level of intent. Then they have the right job title and company size, which can be okay to start. Any other KPIs? And then I'm going to rephrase this question to something I think is more interesting too.
So for us, I mean, one, I always say, like, it depends on where you're at in your company maturity, right? Like how mature your reporting can be and all that type of stuff. For us, it is like we have MQL targets and we have SAO targets, and we're constantly reviewing what an MQL means and sending over the right stuff, because every quarter or so you should be looking at what an MQL is and saying, hey, could these convert at a higher rate if we took out this group of people or added this group of people, or, maybe this isn't enough interaction, attending one event isn't enough, but 2, we've noticed people really convert after, coming to 2 events. So we're looking at MQLs. The conversion, I think, is really important for marketing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not enough to just.
How do you define that, Devin? How does your team define an MQL? What does that even mean?
So I believe in everywhere I've been, an MQL is an internal thing. It is a group of marketers got together and at their best assumption said, this is what enough interest and education, but that's the way I view it, by the way, is like interest and education. Because if you download or view enough of our website and it's like 2 high level, like 5 high level things, and they don't really know what you do, when you get them on a call, it's, hey, Jake, saw that you downloaded that. You've heard this. Already downloaded this white paper.
What?
Oh, that PDF on my browser that I haven't read yet. That thing. Yeah, I'm super ready to take a demo now. Thank you. Thank you for helping me.
I'm so qualified right now. I was interested in learning about XYZ. You do something somewhat quasi-related. I obviously am ready to buy software, right?
Clearly, from awareness to interest and evaluation immediately.
Yeah.
So we look at this formula, and it's different points for different activities. And hey, you should have, and we try to balance it. So this is a whole nother conversation, but essentially it's, you've done enough where if a SDR called you, you either know what we do, or there's enough awareness that an SDR who's trained can provide a value prop that will resonate with you, and you can take a meeting.
Yeah.
But a meeting isn't enough. It has to be accepted by the sales rep. So that's just step 1. I don't, we don't get comped on meetings booked.
I think that's good for a lot of people, right? Like, I think that's good for, most people to just even think about it that way. So that's it, right? And there's a lot of other things we can go into. So I think the other thing I want you to hear when you think about state of LinkedIn for sales and trends is focus on outcomes, okay? And outcomes aren't just the likes and comments and views. It's then make sure you can track the broader impact, right? Which would be making sure that Google Analytics or whatever tool you use, and don't get too hung up on just getting that first click. That there's a value to say, look, what if I can't guarantee you one click of a link, but I can guarantee that 100 times more people will see this. Just intuitively in your gut, who do you think's going to win? So that's my last kind of plug there. So Devin, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. I'm super, super pumped to have you. So it is a week from Thursday. I think you all are might be even kicking off the Empower track. So Devin's going to be sharing lots of stories about what's working for them. Make sure to sign up for Unmute. I just dropped a 25% discount there. Jesse Hunt also says has been a great session, Devin.
What's up, Jesse?
Jesse says what's up. So cool. Thanks, everybody. Devin, we will see you next week. Thank you as always. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Close the quarter strong, the month strong. Make it happen.
Later.
See you, everybody.